first receive a presentation from the Department of Finance to explain the proposed FY 2027 millage rates. At this time, I will turn it over to CFO Bala and Revenue Chief Lawrence Davis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Winston. Today we will be going over the 2027 proposed mill rate structure for the City of Atlanta. This is the first of 3 hearings. The second and third hearing will be on Wednesday, May 27th at noon, and then again at 6 p.m. We'll now turn it over to Revenue Chief Lawrence Davis, who will discuss the 2027 millage rate structure as proposed in the FY27 budget.
Thank you, CFO Bala. Good evening to Chairman Winston. I'm Lawrence Davis Jr., Revenue Chief for the Office of Revenue. I come before you this evening to present the proposed FY27 millage rate. The proposed millage rates are as follows. We are recommending no change to the bond levy of 0.85 mills, which addresses the debt service payments on the general obligation bond issues. We are also recommending no change to the operating levy at 9 52 mills, which is designated for the general operating expenses of the city. And finally, we are asking for the park levy to remain at 1 mills for the purpose of maintenance and improvements to the city public parks. These 3 levies, as illustrated on this slide, total a millage rate of 11 and 37 mills. We are also recommending for the special service district levies of the Atlanta Beltline and the Atlanta Stitch to remain at 2 mills for FY27. Councilmember Winston, this concludes the report of the proposed FY27 millage rate.
All right, thank you, CFO Bala and Chief Davis. It looks like we did not have anyone who signed up for a public hearing for our tax and millage rate. So at this time, I will officially close this hearing just for the general public. We will have our interactive community budget session that will start at 6:15 on the dot. So we're still accepting signups for that. But at this point, the tax millage rate public hearing is officially closed. Thank you. All right, good evening, everyone. It's 6:15 on Wednesday, May 20th, 2026. I am Jason Winston, and I am joined by my colleagues, Council President Marcy Collier Overstreet and Councilmember Kelsey Bunn. Some other council members are on the way. I do hereby declare the public hearing open for our interactive community budget session. The purpose of this hearing is to accept any written and oral comments for the public concerning the proposed FY 2027 budget. Anyone who signs up to speak will be given 2 minutes to speak. We aren't doing any yielded time during this session. At the beginning, we will hear from the people present in the room. Afterwards, we will address some of the emailed and or video questions that have come to us. So I do have the sign-up sheet here in front of me, so we'll go ahead and get started. Our first speaker is Jan Rivers. And you can come on up to the podium. After Jan, we have Michael Hallagy.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Jan Rivers. I'm a lifelong Atlanta resident. I am here without any prepared statement, but after having looked at the budget numbers, I can say that for everyone who signed up for public comment and is here tonight, there's probably, hundreds of us that weren't able to make it tonight, so please keep that in mind. And my commentary is around the police budget. It's very high. It's extremely high. It's high when other departments, as of last year, were asked to cut by 5%. And so a couple years ago, we had some conversations about the Public Safety Training Center, and despite 116,000 people saying, hey, we would like input on this, City Council and the mayor decided to ignore that and go ahead and build that facility without consulting with the residents. So we're back again. The police are asking for more money, and that's at the expense of other departments. I see a lot of ATL Parks folks and allies with the Parks Department here. The parks are really what is going to set the city, apart from other cities. And that's where we need to be spending our money, is parks, infrastructure, and not more of the same endless black hole of policing. If anything, let's give PAD more responsibility and more money. Let's try to help our residents instead of arresting them. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Michael Hallecky, followed by Micah Coleman.
Good afternoon. I'm Michael Hallecky, President and CEO with Park Pride. Today, Atlanta received national recognition from the Trust for Public Land, rising from 21st to 18th in the top 20 in terms of the National Park Score rankings. This progress reflects the leadership of Mayor Andre Dickens, the Atlanta City Council, along with years of work by residents, advocates, nonprofits, and philanthropic partners, as well as the Department of Parks and Recreation. But at the same time that Atlanta is being recognized for its parks, the proposed FY27 city budget includes a 4.8% cut, approximately $2.7 million to Parks and Recreation funding. To be fair, the city has made important commitments to parks in recent years. In 2023, City Council doubled the Park Improvement Fund, dedicating 80% of that increase to park maintenance, and that was meaningful progress. But park maintenance was underfunded for decades, and the need remains significant. Some may argue that the overall Park and Rec funding still increases when the Park Improvement Fund is included. That may be the case, but it misses the point. The Park Improvement Fund was intended to supplement the general fund support for maintenance, not to replace it. Reducing general fund support now risks undermining that commitment. This matters because Atlanta's parks rely on extraordinary philanthropic support. According to TPL, private philanthropy accounts for roughly 20% of Atlanta's parks funding, nearly more than nearly any other city in the country. That support exists because donors are committed to Atlanta and because they believe the city is committed to maintaining what private dollars help to build. Efforts to increase funding for park maintenance have helped to make that case. But this is not only about philanthropy or national rankings, it's about residents, parks where children play, neighbors gather, and communities connect. How we maintain our parks reflects who we are as a city and what we value. As Atlanta continues to invest in its parks and public spaces, we must build confidence in the city's growing commitment required to care for them and maintain them. I urge the administration and city council to reconsider these cuts. Don't send the wrong message. Send the right message. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Michael Coleman, followed by Devin Barrington Ward.
Good evening, council members. I'm Michael Coleman, president of Morningside Community Foundation. A child of Morningside's amazing parks, my 9-year-old son Yoshi has grown up fishing and floating Peachtree Creek, pulling invasive plants out of Herbert Taylor Park, and biting the Beltline. Tonight, I implore you to build a budget which is worthy of Atlanta's parks and green spaces in honor of Yoshi. Atlanta's parks and green spaces, the great public commons. As Morningside's neighborhood parks committee chair, the complaints I receive from neighbors are never begging for shiny new capital improvements. It's always about the basic upkeep of our parks. Our Friends of Park groups regularly communicate with and rely on the Parks Department to cut away fallen trees and limbs, carry out the garbage, and maintain our play areas. A shout out to our local maintenance supervisor, Andre Scott. He's a trusted partner of our Friends groups. What we need is for the city to also afford frontline workers who are paid and educated to avoid turnover and remain steady partners with our Friends groups. As Friends of Park groups, we don't mind doing the habitat restoration. We can handle capital campaigns. What we must have is a world-class DPR with sustainable funding. The ROI from park investment is incalculable but obvious. Better health, safety, public security, stormwater management, and quality of life for all Atlantans. Maintenance may not be glamorous, but it is crucial to preserving the wonderful park system that Atlanta has built. Please do the boring thing and support more park maintenance. It's what the people want, it's what Atlanta needs, and it's what Yoshi deserves. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Devin Barrington Ward, followed by Ajanta Johnson.
Good evening. I think most of these meetings should be done in the evening so that more people can participate. My name is Devin Barrington Ward, and I'm here today to talk about the continued undermining of PAD by the city of Atlanta. It's important that we have a full-service public safety system, and our public safety system cannot rely solely on the police department because we end up having a three-legged stool where we have a lot of police, a little bit of fire, and no support for our alternative responders. It's important that we understand that a lot of calls are being directed to 911 that could be going to PAD right now. Again, I had mentioned at the previous council meeting that in your council district, Councilmember Winston, there were over 700 calls during the time frame that PAD is open and available to the public that were routed to 911. And these weren't calls where people were reporting a criminal activity. These were calls that were related to a mental health crisis. They were related to a substance abuse issue. They were related to something around homelessness and severe poverty, yet the police were still called. And many of those calls resulted in an unnecessary arrest, meaning that that person could have been diverted to services and PAD, which is much cheaper than this $300 million police budget that we're debating about right now. Also, it is exacerbating an issue at the Fulton County Jail. I know that oftentimes the county and the city don't always get along, but I would hope that we could have agreement that we shouldn't be home to one of the most dangerous correctional institutions in the world, right? Where you literally can lose life and limb. And it is imperative that we are diverting people from this facility that is currently under federal review as it pertains to the safety of that facility. We aren't doing that if we're going to continue to cut the legs from underneath PAD. And so I want to see a budget that's a people's budget that reflects the values and the justice of this city. Because Dr. King talked about budgets being a moral document. And I would ask that everyone on this council examine where their morality stands as it pertains to this budget. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ajanta Johnson, and then we have Zaire Clinton.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Jonte Johnson. I'm with Gangs of the Growers, Circle of Safety, and Playfair Atlanta. I grew up in Atlanta, and I keep hearing about decisions and discussions being had for our future, so I got questions. If we are building the city for the next generation, why are the spaces where that generation gathers the first thing to get cut? If youth programming gets $2 million and policing get $50 million increase in the same budget, what does that tell the ratio of young people about their value in the city? If families in my neighborhood can't afford to stay, whose future exactly is we building here? Who is Atlanta being built for? Thank you.
All right, thank you. Zaire Clinton, followed by Heather Hallett.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? My name is Zaire. I live in Atlanta. I rent. I work here. But I have one word that I need the council to explain for me. When we call units affordable, right? Who is it exactly affordable for? If the area median income is calculated across 29 counties of suburban wealth, does that reflect what people in Atlanta neighborhoods actually earn? If the Beltline promised 5,600 affordable units by 2030 and fewer than 1,200 were built, where do we call the gap between the promise and this reality? If 24,000 people are on the housing voucher waiting list tonight, what does this budget do for them specifically? And that, I want to end with this question. Who is Atlanta built for?
Thank you. Next we have Heather Hallett, if I said that right, and then followed by Leonard. Sorry, Leonard, I know it's D, but I'm not sure what the spelling is.
Hi, my name is Heather Hallett. I am with Georgia Majority for Gun Safety, and I'm here with Circle of Safety and the Metro Atlanta Violence Prevention Partnership. And we are just advocating for clarity in the budget around the violence reduction allocations and also the metrics that were provided in the budget. That's really the first request, is just to understand where those numbers come from and what funding is being allocated towards violence reduction. And obviously, what we really are advocating for is a partnership with the city. We represent many community violence intervention groups that are already working on the ground to prevent violence in the city. And funding for these groups should be a collaborative between the city and philanthropy. But at the present moment, there's been a huge drawdown in federal funds for our groups. And currently, a lot of them are just working shoestring on their own. So would love to collaborate and really, most importantly, understand what's in the budget. We really appreciate the resolution from the City Council supporting community violence intervention.
The time has expired. It's almost expired. Just sorry, you can keep going.
No worries.
Yeah.
I was just going to close with hope that we can collaborate more moving forward and really get some clarity around what the city is doing to prevent violence. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Leonard D., and then we've got Marty Breen. Sorry, Leonard, I couldn't read
So
the
that's Dungy, just like the coach. So, yeah. Good afternoon, members of council, council president. Again, I'm with CVI, I'm with Hope Hustlers and Metropolitan Atlanta Violence Prevention Partnership and Circle of Safety. Not going to duplicate what Heather said. She put it very eloquently. Thank you for the resolution. And real quick, I just want to make a point is that what we're asking for is 0.03% of the police budget and 0.003% of the total budget. Thank you for your time.
And I did want to add clarity that we will answer some of these questions during this hearing from some of the various departments. So we'll let you go ahead and get started.
So, hi, I'm Marty Breen, and I represent Friends of Herbert Taylor Park and Daniel Johnson Park in the Morningside neighborhood. I won't reiterate what everyone else has said. I will tell you that the park's maintenance over the past few years has improved incredibly well. We make a request and we get someone out to help us in a really timely manner, and they do a great job. Cutting their budget is not going to help that at all. We've done a great job expanding the parks. We spent a lot of taxpayer money improving our parks and doing capital improvements over the past year or 2 years. And not doing maintenance to keep those parks up is just short of criminal. So it's kind of like if you bought a house and you decided that you didn't have enough money once you had the house to keep the maid and the yard service going, then you'd end up with code violations. We don't want code violations for our parks. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Eli Dickerson, followed by Greg Laughlin.
Good evening. My name is Eli Dickerson, and I'm the Director of Education at Park Pride. I lead a cohort-based program called the Park Stewardship Academy that some of you are familiar with. These folks were already strong park volunteers and advocates before the program, but after graduation, we've seen them grow even more, and many of them are in the room today and will be speaking or have already spoken. They're incredibly passionate about their parks and about the park system as a whole. They were among some of the folks that responded to Park Pride's recent call to action, where we invited folks to spend 20 minutes in a park and document what they love and also what needs improvement in their park. Overall, respondents to the survey love the nature and calm that our parks provide, the sense of community, recreation opportunities, and recent renovations. And as a Kirkwoodian, I can tell you my family loves our new playground, for instance, especially the zip line. My kid loves it. On the improvement side, safety and accessibility, maintenance, and opportunities of activation were high on the list of needs. As a 21-year resident of Atlanta, I'm happy to call Atlanta home. I love our parks, and I especially love our nature preserves. You may not know that the natural areas are the largest type of newly acquisition park for many years running, and to date, 2,200 of our 7,000 acres of parkland are defined as natural area. So that's about a third. While I'm thrilled that this number is increasing rapidly, I worry about the quality. Adequate funding is crucial to adequate maintenance, programming, research, and stewardship of these natural areas, and a 5% cut in the budget is not the path forward. We asked park users to make the case why park funding should be increased, and I've highlighted some of their concerns, my concerns, and Park Pride's concerns. And we are all here to make the case for increased funding for parks and park maintenance. I urge the administration and City Council to reconsider these cuts, not for philanthropy or future recognition through the park score, but for our residents who love our parks. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So after Greg Laughlin, we'll have Catherine Spillman.
Good evening. My name is Greg Laughlin. I'm with Circle of Safety, and I'm also a university instructor, and I've worked for 25 years in violence prevention work. And I want to compliment the City Council for passing the resolution to support community violence intervention work. I think it's critical. I think it'll save lives. Two requests along with that resolution that you passed. If you could add a dollar amount to it, I think that would make it kind of more powerful. The dollar amount that you can afford, and to be transparent about that. And also to make sure that that funding gets to community groups like Hope Hustlers, like We Care, like Gangsters to Growers, like Mothers Against Gang Violence, and out in the community where credible messengers are saving lives. So thank you for your time.
All right, thank you. So Catherine Spillman, followed by, I think this is Eric Breshin. Catherine? Eric? You're up.
Good evening. My name is Eric Breckheisen, and I'm here today representing Park Pride's Board of Directors as the chair of the Public Policy Committee. You see Michael Halicki here often. Tonight, the board, comprised of philanthropic, business, and nonprofit leaders, wanted to emphasize we are resolute in our commitment to park maintenance, and we are here as your partners. 20% of park funding in Atlanta comes from philanthropy. It's not a footnote, that's a meaningful share of what keeps our parks functional and welcoming. As former Park Pride treasurer, I've seen firsthand that the city's budget picture is incomplete when it only reflects what the city spends. Philanthropic investment can grow, but donors look for confidence that what they fund will be cared for. Funding park maintenance signals to our donor community that their investment will be protected and unlocks private giving. With Park Pride's recently adopted strategic plan, you're going to see more from our board, more engagement, more advocacy, more partnership. We are here to work alongside you. I appreciate your willingness to engage, ask tough questions, and balance priorities. Increased funding for park maintenance sends a strong signal that Atlanta is ready to show communities that they too can have a park to be proud of.
Thank you. Next, we have Rosa McHugh, and then we'll have Esther Stokes.
Thank you, Catherine. My name is Catherine Martinez. Thank you. Good evening. I live in Atlanta. I have been building here for years. Before anything else, I need to ask the council one question. Doesn't Park and Rec make you money? Does the City of Atlanta's police department make you money? If Atlanta has the largest budget in city history, nearly $3 billion, why are the people who built this city struggling harder than ever to stay inside? If this budget reflects our values as a city, what does these numbers say we actually value? If Atlanta's projecting $503 million in World Cup economic impact built on its cultural identity, where did the culture come from? I would love that question answered. If the artists and the creatives who built the culture are being displaced faster than any group, what exactly are we selling and for how long? If the city markets its Black culture to the world while pricing out the people producing it, what do we call that? In the census, we have flipped 40%. We are no longer considered the Black Mecca. So my question is, who is Atlanta being built for? Thank you.
All right, thank you. And for the record, that was Catherine Spillman. Next, we have Rosa McHugh, and then Esther Stokes. Rosa? No Rosa? All right. Esther? Floor is yours.
Good evening. My name is Esther Stokes, and I live in Brookwood Hills neighborhood in Councilman Wan's District 6. I have been a parks advocate wearing a green shirt for many years. We just learned this week that Atlanta has moved up nationally in the Trust for Public Lands Park score from number 21 to number 18, top 20. And yet just 10 years ago, we were 51st. How did Atlanta do this? There are several reasons. We increased access to parks. More people now live within a 10-minute walk of a park. We worked with partners, in particular the philanthropic community, to add to park acreage and invest in our parks. We worked with friends groups and nonprofits to advocate for parks. We put a lot more Atlanta city money into parks. You, city council members, played a major role in this increased ranking. I want to thank our city council members and Mayor Dickens for doubling the Park Improvement Fund in 2023. That has had a huge impact on our parks because 80% of that money was dedicated to park maintenance. But we are making up for many, many years of underfunding park maintenance. You are being asked today to cut the budget, the parks budget, by 5%. While at the same time, Atlanta is adding acreage to its parks. This does not add up. If we are adding new parks, we should be adding to the budget to keep them up. I have a challenge for you this evening. Go in your mind to your favorite local park. What does it look like? Has the grass been mowed? Do the restrooms work? Can you actually play ball on the athletic fields, or are they eroded? Is there litter? Is there kudzu? These are the things that tell us every day about the state of our parks. Our parks reflect our city. They are a statement of who we are, what we value, and what we want all our citizens, for all our citizens, and for our visitors. They are public infrastructure.
And thank you, Ms. Stokes. We are at time, so thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have David Lloyd Davis and then Corinne Dent.
Good evening, City Council President and council members. My name is David Lloyd Davis. I'm the Executive Director of Cascade Springs Nature Conservancy. Back in 2017, well, I'm here to advocate for increased park maintenance. Back in 2017, we formed an organization of people who lived on contiguous properties to the nature preserve because it was just too difficult for us to manage the overgrowth, all of the invasives and the trash and the people coming in and out of the parks. And a lot of that pressure was felt on the people who live directly connected to the park. We're grateful for all of the increased support from council members, from the Parks Department. The Cascade Springs Nature Preserve is very well maintained. The problem is the fact that we have maintenance issues with the properties that connect directly to the preserve. There's really no support for that. It's just we have to maintain it on our own. The fences are just in disrepair. There's lots of overgrowth. There's people coming in and out. And so what we really are looking for is recognition that, not all communities can afford to have people come and maintain their properties that are contiguous to nature preserves. Nature preserves are minimally maintained. So that's a lot of pressure on people who may or may not be able to manage that. And so what I'm advocating for is that we look at the fact that there is additional issues with maintenance that are not necessarily funded right now. And so we're advocating for increased funding and sustained funding for maintenance. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And I do understand that Rosa McHugh is in the room, so we'll let her go, and then Corinne Dent.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Good evening, council members. My name is Rosa McHugh, and I serve as the president and CEO of the Chastain Park Conservancy. I am here as a proud partner to the city and as someone who believes Atlanta's parks and green spaces are one of our strongest public assets. As you know, Mayor Dickens always says that Atlanta is a group project. I see that every day in our parks, not just at Chastain, but throughout the city. Conservancies, friends groups, donors, volunteers, neighbors, park users, and DPR are all working together to care for the public spaces that belong to everyone in the city. But a group project only works when each partner can do its part. Because of our strong relationship with DPR, the Conservancy is able to help raise private dollars, organize volunteers, maintain public spaces, restore natural areas, support trail and playground care, and help keep the park accessible and welcoming to all. But here's the crux. Public maintenance is the foundation of the public-private partnership. Private and nonprofit maintenance should always work to strengthen the city's investment, not replace it. When the city truly invests in its parks maintenance, every private dollar goes further. And that's an important point because every volunteer hour has more impact. Every capital improvement has a longer useful life. It also gives partners like us and the generous donors who believes in our public spaces the confidence to keep investing alongside the city. As you know, parks are also deeply personal. For many Atlantans, the neighborhood park is the most accessible place to walk, gather, cool off, feel like they're truly part of the city. When that park is clean, safe, and cared for, people feel seen. But on the other hand, when it's neglected, they feel that too, which is kind of the story, right? Atlanta has made real progress, but rankings do not maintain parks. People do, budgets do, long-term commitment does. Tonight, I respectfully ask that you do not cut the parks budget, but instead continue increasing funding for park maintenance at a level that reflects the needs of our parks and the needs of the generations of Atlantans they truly serve. Thank you for your leadership and for continuing to invest in our parks.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Corinne Dent, followed by Jay Wozniak.
Hello, I'm Corinne Dent, the president of Southside Concerned Citizens Community Association and the group leader for the Friends of Empire and Harper Park. From shootings to car burnings, our parks have come a long way. To quote Commissioner Cutler, not aim to maintain parks, but aim to transform communities. Let's make a plan to transform communities and how they see and respect their parks. A budget cut to parks is a budget cut to full community transformation. A budget cut to parks is a budget cut to the residents that need those funds to help fight for their parks. In 2020, a handful of people came together and decided we wanted to fight harder and relentlessly for better green spaces within our communities. As we are starting to gain momentum, we need the continued support of budget dollars to help support our parks, which in turn help to support our overall community transformation. Not aim to maintain parks, but aim to transform communities. Don't think of a budget cut to parks as a hard stop. A budget cut to parks has a trickle-down effect because when you cut park budgets, you cut community transformation budgets. Pour into our communities, don't pull from them. Lead with love and let love find a way. Is it the tourist or for the seniors? Is it for the visitors or for the legacy family? Who is Atlanta being built for? Lead with love, council, and let love find a way. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Jay Wozniak, followed by Stephen Imo.
Good evening. My name is Jay Wozniak with the Trust for Public Land. I am the Georgia and Alabama Urban Parks Program Director. The Trust for Public Land is a national organization whose mission is to connect everyone to the outdoors. Our 50 years of experience have shown firsthand how well-designed and well-maintained parks are more than places to play. They change people's lives because they are places for respite, health, learning, and community, to connect, to learn, and to reflect. Here in Atlanta, our residents and our guests connect to dozens of projects that TPL has played unique roles in envisioning, implementing, and stewarding. These are public open spaces that shape and connect our great city. They include Dr. Martin Luther King National Historical Park, the Beltline, Historic Fourth Ward Park, Cook Park, and the upcoming miles of trails and acres of parks under construction and proposed along the Chattahoochee River. But it's not these projects that I'm here to talk about, though. I'm here to talk about the parks in each of your districts, because in total, they create our park system. And it's that park system that today we should celebrate. As many of you learned already, Atlanta received exciting news as the city climbed from 21st to 18th nationally. It's hard to believe, but only 5 years ago, Atlanta ranked 49th out of the nation's 100 largest cities. Our new ranking was achieved by the leadership of the city, along with years of work by residents, advocates, nonprofit, and philanthropic partners. As we recognize this achievement, it should be noted that if Atlanta's park score is rising, our investment in parks, especially maintenance, should rise too. We cannot maintain or reduce current funding levels while simultaneously adding new parks and amenities. Trust for Public Land's recent report finds that every $1 invested in parks and recreation generates at least $3 in annual economic benefits. If the city wants to continue improving its park score rating, it needs to continue to invest in parks. Atlanta's park score is an indicator that our investment in parks is paying off, but the real measure of success is whether every resident in every neighborhood can count on a clean, safe, welcoming park close to home.
Thank you, Jay. Time has expired.
Thank you.
All right. Next, we have Stephen Imo, followed by Catherine Martinez.
All right, thank you to the four of you who showed up today. I know that most of us probably didn't come here to speak to a bunch of empty chairs, so appreciate y'all being here. The budget is a reflection of our values. I think that that's been said already by Devin and probably another number of people. So why is it that we are so keen to spend as much money as the Please Ask every year, but cut every other budget that we have? This past year, we spent $11 million, as far as I can tell at least, on take-home cars that will sit in people's driveways when we could be easily having cops share cars. That is more than 10 departments get in our city. There is a serious lack of interest in maintaining funding in things that aren't immediately and obviously decaying. I would love for our parks to be funded, but there are departments that also, you don't see them suffer as quickly as you watch a park suffer after it's not been funded for cleanup and for maintenance. We cannot just continue to cut budgets from systems that we severely already underfund, and we absolutely must be putting more money into the other parts of our budget. Finally, I think it's kind of nuts that in the year 2023, the police went over budget by 7%. 2024, it was 14, almost 15%. And in 2025, it was 24, almost 25% that they went over budget. If that trend continues, I can't imagine what this year is going to look like. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have Catherine Martinez, followed by Matthew Nursey. Catherine Martinez, going once, going twice. Oh, I'm sorry, say that again? Oh, okay. Matthew Nursey, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, members of council. My name is Matthew Nursey. I am a tenant organizer and a housing policy advocate. I'm also a member of Atlanta DSA. Of course, I would like to see more funding for things like rental assistance and eviction defense and building social housing, but I wanted to pose the question, where does this general fund money come from? Where does this budget money come from? Does it come out of the air? Well, I think we pay taxes, right? We pay sales tax, we pay property taxes, all sorts of taxes, right? So this is our money. It's our money. So I want us to just think about that. And think about just a couple of years ago when in just about a 2 or 3 month period of time, over 116,000 people in Atlanta signed a referendum saying that they just wanted the Cop City to be put on the ballot. That's all we wanted, was a say in this money, right? This project. And so, it's been said over and over that we keep cutting other parts of the budget to keep increasing the police budget, even though violent crime is down. Crime is down in general, but the police cars that Stephen was talking about, the line item in the budget literally says that the reasoning for these cars is for a rapid increase in violent crime. The numbers don't bear that out. Read the article that Yahoo just put out about Atlanta setting records with its police budget. We're talking about almost $1 billion, right? It's like over $990 million. I mean, there's plenty of money to go around. This is literally a choice that we continually make. I was in Cuba in October, a supposedly authoritarian state. I barely saw any police except for around, embassies and maybe government buildings. None of them had guns. When I walk outside, I see 100 surveillance cameras. I can't be outside for 2 minutes without seeing at least 6 cop cars drive by. I was, harassed at Woodruff Park the other day for just literally sitting on the curb because they were doing construction on the park. Like, guys, this is our money. And so listen to the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Abiodun Henderson, followed by Clara Green. I got that wrong, huh?
No, you got it right.
Oh, good.
You were just making a promotion.
Okay.
There's just a bunch of us that just be really caring about the same things. Comes down to housing, public space, parks, community violence intervention. As Gangster Growers and members of the National Black Food Justice Alliance, we think about food, good food, healthy food. As folks organizing the Diamond Hill Food Co-op over in Vine City with residents from Magnolia Park Apartments, we're thinking about how do we develop these buying clubs, produce buying clubs to get food to our people. And I'm here specifically around community violence intervention as the founder of the Come Up Project, featuring the Gangster Growers training program, a member of the Circle of Safety with organizations like We Care, Hope Hustlers, Mothers Against Gang Violence, and Dream Builders, so many more. We are working hard with our young people to empower them, to pay them, right? $18 or more, or sometimes $25 an hour, giving them livable wages in order to become advocates, become farmers, to be productive citizens of a city that shows love by funding the things that we need, the housing, the good food projects that we have, and of course the community violence intervention in our parks. So just here, very proud of the resolution that was passed. We appreciate it. and we need folks to put money where that resolution is. Again, our parks, the funding going down on all the things that we need to have a safer community is bananas. Do y'all know something we don't know? Like, are all the jobs finna go away because of AI and y'all need to control the citizens or something? What's going on? We could be a city that preempts all the things that may come down the pipeline, especially a kind of a Black-led, interracially led city. We want to give these young people something to be proud of. That's okay.
I saw Clara. Oh, there's Clara Green, and then followed by Nick Stevens.
Good evening. My name is Clara, and I'm here with the Center for Civic Innovation. And I want to just say how proud I am of the community organizations that have promoted and advocated for people to come out today. This is a result of their work. Right before this tonight, there were a number of these folks in a room together, spending hours doing a budget training, learning how the budget works and how we can engage around the budget. And then in the middle of hail and rain, and we literally saw a fire department boat go by. So many of us here work to be here, and it's a privilege. And to look and see that 12 out of 15 council members did not show up is incredibly disheartening, disrespectful, and a disregard for the public. There's only one budget hearing, one. But our work will continue. And I don't want people to be discouraged. If I could be here instead of at home tonight with my 7-month-old baby and my 4-year-old, if these folks could be here by bus, by foot, by MARTA, then council could have done the courtesy to do the same. So thank you to those of you that did show up. I'm wondering if folks who came tonight to speak or to be here could all stand. Don't be afraid. This is what community engagement looks like, and this is not. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Nick Stevens.
Hi, good evening. Thanks for having me. I'm Nick Stevens. I'm an urban planner whose work is focused on parks planning. I had the great privilege of working on both Activate ATL and the Urban Ecology Framework. So it's been really gratifying to see how those plans have led to a lot of the progress that's been mentioned by my fellow speakers. So since already so many great points have been made about the value of investing in parks, I'll try to keep this extremely brief. It's obviously short-sighted to be taking a step forward and now to take a step back by reducing our investment in parks. I think we know that the mayor has made it a goal to make Atlanta the best place to raise a child. And I would argue, and I think there's ample evidence to support this, that the best place to raise a child is likely the place with the best parks. So I would simply ask you to ask the mayor, how will we become the best place to raise a child if we're reducing our investment in parks? Thanks.
All right, thank you. We're at the end of our list, but I think we missed a few people. Catherine Spillman, are you in the room yet? I'll let you come on up. And was there anybody else that signed up that did not get a chance to speak? Okay, we got you. We'll add you.
Good evening. My name is Catherine Spillman. I'm the Executive Director of the Atlanta Memorial Park Conservancy in Northwest Atlanta. I'm deeply concerned by the proposed 5% reduction to the Department of Parks and Recreation's budget, the city's draft fiscal year 2026 budget. This is not the time to reduce investment in Atlanta's parks. Over the last several years, nonprofit conservancies, philanthropic partners, and community advocates have stepped up in extraordinary ways to help maintain, restore, and enhance Atlanta's public green spaces. Organizations like ours have invested significant private dollars, volunteer hours, and long-term stewardship into projects that support public health, environmental resilience, youth recreation, and neighborhood quality of life. A reduction to the parks budget sends the wrong message to those partners. Public-private partnerships succeed when there is clear commitment from both sides. Nonprofits and donors are far more likely to invest when the city continues to prioritize its parks and green space infrastructure. Cuts risk slowing momentum, discouraging future philanthropic investment, and placing additional strain on already limited resources. Atlanta's parks are essential infrastructure. They improve public safety, support physical and mental health, strengthen neighborhoods, and provide gathering spaces for residents across every council district. I respectfully urge the council and administration to reconsider these proposed cuts and continue demonstrating that Atlanta values the parks and public spaces that make our city stronger and more connected. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And we got some more people that just signed up, so let me grab this list and we'll get going. All right, so the first person is last name Usher. And followed by Brendan Gill.
How y'all doing? I appreciate y'all for y'all leadership. I had to turn my shirt on the other side because I just came from work. I just want to talk strategy with y'all a little bit. So mothers against gang violence reported a 78% of youth consistent engagement. 70% of the youth, they improved in school and attendance. They reduced incidents, and all of the youth participants reported an increase in confidence, improved coping skills, and stronger relationships. Evidently, they end up going back to school and doing better in school. Hope Hustlers reporting 174 mediations directly that could have caused conflict, could have caused any kind of individual to be hurt. They got eight community engagement events. They distributed over 2,500 public education material, and they had 11 violent interruptions. We Atlanta reporting over the time they received the SYI grant, they reporting over 11% reduction in all the communities that they was accounted for. I want to talk about another strategy too, because I hear a lot of people in here saying parks, but what about recreation? That's a preventative strategy, and I see Doug over there. Doug, cool people. Doug understand what it takes to be able to take care of community. I just want to talk about these strategies because these strategies help the 1% of the people that's in these neighborhoods that commit any crime, that commit 99% of the crime. They help people. Just like the lady from Grand City Grove just came up here and said, we're trying to help these individuals. But how can we help these individuals without no resources, without no input? And we talked about, everything got put for you, and I appreciate every last one of y'all for voting yes. But on the back end of it, it's like, okay, what the numbers look like? Because we're looking at $33 million, us as a whole. We asking y'all to come in for a quarter that is $11 million. We're gonna ask for some more people, and we're gonna definitely raise some of that money. So we're gonna put skin in the game too. But the public is speaking on what the public needs. The public doing their part, and on top of all that, we paying our taxes. So what we gonna be at with it? Like, we doing our part, and we keep talking to y'all. And just like she said, do y'all know something that we don't know? Just tell us, please, so we can get on the same boat and the same understanding that y'all got. I appreciate y'all for y'all time. Thank you again, and thank you for everybody that came in.
Got Brendan Gill, followed by Chastity Dallas.
Hello, I want to thank you guys for showing up. My name is Brendan. I am the operations manager with Youth Enrichment Services. We work in partnership with the City of Atlanta Parks and Recs. And I just want to emphasize what has kind of been stated here, that a budget is a document about priorities. And I think it is important that we invest in the priority of resources for communities. Public parks are just one of many ways that we can invest in providing resources, because having third spaces that are invested in Like the brother just said before me, it's parks and recreations. A lot of the services that we provide with youth enrichment services is enrichment opportunities for kids that keep them active, that keeps them moving. A space like a park, our ability to work with the recreation centers creates a meaningful touch point for kids. It creates, and a lot of things of what we talk about is how can we have deeper impact? Because we recognize that the more we can have a meaning in children's life, the more that we can make a difference in their life. And that goes directly to crime prevention, violence intervention, community building. It's so much more than just having a pretty green space. It's about having a space where communities can come together. The classes that we host have demographics all throughout the community, and a cut in parks, a cut in these other spaces while increasing in police budgets, for example, is just a wrong show of priorities. It's how do we intervene in making meaningful impact in children's lives, in people's lives? And I believe that it's through programming, it's through being able to provide resources, it's being able to show that our budget prioritizes providing resources to community and creating incentives for community as opposed to surveillance and, response after something has gone wrong or something has happened. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next we have Chastity Dallas, followed by Cameron Cannon. And the last person is Kelly Draper.
Hello, I'm Chastity Dallas with Gangsters to Growers. I have 3 bullet points. But first, the one thing our communities need is a clearer understanding of where public funding is going and how residents can actively be a part of that process. And just going into the points, communities should not only receive services, they should help govern how resources are used in real time and to put some funding behind that too. And also, if residents are trained, organized, and connected directly to decision makers, government becomes more If residents are trained, organized, and connected directly to decision makers, government becomes more responsive and preventative instead of reactive. The people closest to the problems are often closest to the solutions. Budgeting should reflect that. And communities should not only receive I already said that. Okay, so the whole point is that we need education on what's going on as well in our communities, because that's how people can feel more empowered and really understand and not shy away from what's going on. And they'll have more of a say of what's going on with their tax dollars as well. And obviously I am here to advocate for the the youth violence initiative. Y'all know what I'm trying to say. And and Gangsters to Growers, we are solid, standing by with PAD. And I love Atlanta, and we're just here to make Atlanta better. So just listen to us and do y'all big one, we're trying to do our big one. So yeah. All right, bye.
Thank you, Chastity. Next, Cameron Cannon, followed by Kelly Draper.
Good evening. My name is Cameron Cannon. I'm a student at Clark Atlanta University in the Zone 1 area, and I'm here today because the budget is a moral document, and right now I want to talk about the students. So young people in Atlanta are not just affected by community violence, but they're the ones that are most capable of interrupting it. And summer youth employment programs have been proven to assist when the violence spikes the most in those months. So I think students are not a problem to fix, but an investment. And with employment becoming more difficult as the years go on, I myself have a summer job for the moment, but lining it up in the future might be a difficult issue. And the reason that teachers like my mother and my grandmother taught in issues or areas where there were a lot of violence is because they understand what it's like to invest in students and in communities where people need that engagement, helping with mental health programs and like keeping kids off the streets. They're not just feel-good expenses, but I think they're an investment. And the Zone 1 area in particular on the West End, as a student, it's not always safe around there. And when I was a STEM director at the Carl E. Sanders YMCA, I saw that it was very effective for me to teach students about STEM programs, but I'd like to see programs like that in those areas, like the West Side and the East Side. So I just wanted to use my time here. This is my first student council, not student council meeting, I'm sorry. This is my first city council meeting, so I appreciate you all having me here. And yeah, that's all I had to say. Thank you.
All right. We appreciate you being here. Lastly, we have Kelly Draper.
Hi all, thank you so much for being here tonight. My name is Kelly Draper and I serve as co-chair of the Edgewood Neighborhoods Parks and Green Space Committee, where for the past 3 years, I've advocated for the acquisition of land for new parks, and wanted to point out that the Trust for Public Land Equity map shows several areas in our neighborhood where Atlanta has not met the goal of every Atlantan living within a 10-minute walk to a park or quality green space. I also recently led improvements to Walker Park, our only City of Atlanta park in our neighborhood. And this project was made possible in part by Park Pride Grant and a contribution from Councilmember Bakhtiari. My experience of executing this relatively small project, which was 3 picnic tables installed on a concrete pad, revealed to me that Atlanta Parks and Rec is in great need of more capacity. Between the struggle of getting on the design team calendar and the growing list of broken equipment at Walker Park that was not part of our project budget, it was clear that the City of Atlanta needs to dedicate more funding to fixing broken garbage cans and benches that volunteers spent countless hours fundraising for, more funding for Parks and Rec to care for mature tree canopy so that Atlantans have respite during heat waves, and more funding for park infrastructure that can protect Atlantans from severe flood impacts. This is not a time to be cutting the park budget by 5%. I also want to mention that a lot of these issues we're talking about tonight tie into each other together. And, you know, I know that the firefighting budget is increasing. There's a lot, I think, that's looks like it's poured into reactive funding as opposed to proactive funding, increasing not only the maintenance and the improvements of infrastructure at our parks and the programming for our parks can prevent many issues from violence to even fires. Holding water on site can make us more resilient to fire and flood. So if we think like systems thinkers about how we can solve these problems, a lot of it can be achieved. A lot of progress can be achieved with an increase in the park budget. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And thank you to everybody that showed up. So just talk about next steps. So we did get some email questions. So we're gonna ask Jared Evans to read, I think we received 5 emails. And then after that, we're gonna try to answer some of your questions.
All right, Andrew Sarfi writes, instead of increasing the police budget by $16.5 million and decreasing the transportation, city planning, and parks and recreation budget, we flip it. So basically decrease police by at least $16.5 million and spread out the cost savings for an increase to the transportation, city planning, and parks and recreation budget. Thanks. Ruth Dana writes, to whom it may concern, I'm ready to provide comments on the budget for Atlanta, Georgia. We do not need to raise the city policing budget. I would much rather see us invest in sidewalks, bike lanes, and infrastructure, or even additional support systems for people to prevent crime rather than just respond once it's happened. Please invest in the city rather than investing in the police. Thank you so much. Matthew Wintle writes, Dear Mayor Dickens and members of City Council, as an Atlanta resident, I am writing regarding the FY27 budget proposal, we urgently need to rethink how we build infrastructure and transit in the city. Right now, we are losing the race against inflation. Every time a transit project stalls, our dedicated funding loses its purchasing power. Delays do more than just postpone the benefits of a better network of transit. They actively destroy the money we have already committed. We must speed up our delivery timelines before costs spiral further out of reach. To protect our investment and maximize the value of every transit dollar, we need smarter organizational structuring. Currently, project delivery is scattered across too many departments, leading to slow progress and a lack of direct accountability. We must implement a more efficient municipal governance model for capital delivery. I am asking you to use the FY27 budget to establish a unified capital delivery office. By pulling major construction out of daily operations and putting it under one dedicated roof, we guarantee a single point of accountability. We need a team focused entirely on getting shovels in the ground and projects across the finish line, rather than passing the buck between separate departments. Please prioritize capital delivery efficiency in this budget cycle. Fund the creation of a capital delivery office so we can beat inflation, speed up our construction timelines, and finally build the infrastructure Atlanta has been promised. Thank you so much for your time and your service to the city. Chris Ferguson writes, hello, writing from District 1 to ask you fully fund Parks and Recreation and ATL DOT by taking funds from the executive offices of the mayor and the proposed police department budget. Parks got in such bad shape due to years of disinvestment. I visited West Manor Park last week and found a lovely park and playground with a ball field with bleachers with caution tape on them, unsafe for sitting. That scenario replicates across the city. ATL DOT is a mess of a department that needs new leadership, but they also need the funding and staff to be able to work as citizens need on our roads, sidewalks, and bike lanes. The budget is not the mayor's budget. The budget is the people's budget, and the funding should reflect that. We also need investment in more public restrooms and trash cans citywide. Thanks and all the best. Brennan Russ writes, hi, as a working mother and a working husband and small child, there is a lot more I'm concerned about than increasing the APD budget by $16.5 million. Transportation, subsidized daycare, look at New York City or New Mexico, parks and recreation are all more important than giving the police more money. Please don't ignore our messages. It is important that you listen to the people rather than just giving police more money. Improve Atlanta as a whole. Make it more enticing for families to come and raise their kids, improving parks and recreation, more affordable daycare. It's hard to find daycare in the first place inside Atlanta, but my child's daycare is $500 a week. I absolutely think the teachers deserve to make a livable wage and enjoy life, but the city could step in and make that a real possibility for more daycare workers and make daycare affordable for people who have to stay at home. Women are disproportionately affected by daycare costs and have a harder time going back to work when they can't afford daycare. It's keeping people in poverty and pushing others into it. Make the roads safer for pedestrians and cyclists and drivers. There are so many intersections that need to be investigated and improved. Roads should be improved, build bike infrastructure. Please take these concerns seriously and think about the people rather than hiring more and more police officers. You already built the unpopular, expensive training site. Take a step toward helping people and not just helping people with power. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Evans, for reading those emails. Appreciate all you all for coming. So at this point, I'm actually going to turn it over to our CFO, Mohammed Bala, to start addressing some of your questions. We also have some different department heads that are in here. I know some folks, unfortunately, had to step out due to some of its emergencies on the road, but CFO Bala and his team and some of our department heads will be able to take some of these questions.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman Winston. So, given that many of the questions were around parks, we got indication from the email questions earlier that people wanted to have more understanding about allocation to parks. Allocation to parks has grown significantly over the years. I think a lot of times we focus only on the general fund allocation that's presented in the budget book. I have a slide up here that shows that allocation in I think, a better picture. Overall investments in parks. You'll see that just looking at the orange portion, the general fund allocation from 2022 to 2027 has grown 25%. That is a calculated annual growth rate of 4.5% over the last 5 years. Also, starting in 2024, this council and the administration did a brave thing. They increased the park mill rate from a half to a whole, doubling the allocations of the Park Improvement Fund, a fund that was put in place to really achieve many things: capital improvement, as well as maintenance and operations. So this was a discussion point back then that there was a need for maintenance and operations. 5% for safety and security, and then 5% for recreation. So there was discussions and people had different opinions at that time with that breakdown, as it might not be equitable or might advance gentrification, not enough support for recreation. But I think a strong case was made for maintenance and operation and how much that has fallen behind over the years. So I think the council made the right choice by allocating 40% to maintenance and operation. So if you see annually, what that has meant is roughly a $40 million a year, growing to about $42 million this year in Park Improvement Fund. But there's also a unspent portion of that carries forward every year. That's about another $30 million. So going into this year, for just total allocated funding for parks, is about $126 million. While you only see that general fund allocation going from 57 to 54, that doesn't tell the whole picture. So there's significant resources to parks. It's a reason why the park score has gone up. It's a reason why this council and this administration has been so pro-parks funding. Say that to say that even in times right now when we're asking everybody to consider efficiencies and to consider ways that they can look into optimizing their operations, we are headed into some recessionary environments. People are layoffs are happening. We're starting to see less confidence in the economy. These things are happening, and this is a place where we needed to ask everybody to consider a few things. And Commissioner Cutler and team, I think, rightfully reallocated sources to make sure that a reduction in what we highlighted in the general fund portion, part in purchase contract services, which was reprioritizing facility maintenance and pool and other stuff to a more appropriate source, was the prudent thing to do. And so we applaud them for that, and we applaud their leadership for that. But I just really want that picture to say what it says, which is that there's been over 100% increase in total park allocations since 2022. Happy to dig forward a little bit more and get more nuanced if needed as well too. Just to put that in perspective, that $40 million, that unlocks $16 million in operation and maintenance that should be prioritized to the right funding. Saying the general fund just needs to pick it up and figure it out, I wish we could do that, but we can't. We have to have a balanced budget by state law. That means all the anticipations need to match the expenses going into a budget year. So again, while it's might be not the most fortunate thing for everybody to have to consider tightening up a little bit this year. I think it was the right thing to do. It's defensible. It is a way to allow us to continue the fight and the journey so that in better years, we'll be able to have more investments in parks where it's needed as well too. So I'm going to answer that question. I think this kind of illustrates it well for the parks discussion. We didn't talk a lot today, didn't get a lot of questions about ADOT, but they have a comparable situation as well, as when they have a lot of resources for project delivery, including T-SPLOST, including moving Atlanta forward and renew. Their commitment is to delivering capital projects. You're not going to see the capital project delivery apparatus in the operational budget, but it's there, and happy to discuss that in more granularity as well. So thank you, council staff. That going to segue into kind of some questions we had with regards to police's budget. With police's budget, I think what we should note is when you're comparing budget to budget, that is indeed a $16 million increase. And it's a $16 million increase for areas that are really critical and important, such as health insurance and commitment to pension funds, which are obligations that need to be paid. We can't not pay those unless we defer them, which we're not going to do. But also what I want people to think about is, what is police currently spending? Not what they were budgeted last year. What are they currently spending? Currently, police is projected to close fiscal year 26 at $335 million. We are budgeting them at $324 million. $11 million reduction from where they're ending the year. While we're focused on a $16 million increase, we are hopeful that APD, and under the leadership of Chief Shearbaum, would start to kind of stabilize its spending. And a lot of the spending was done in past due to overtime, also to staffing needs. Police is still not at the 2,000 police officer target. I think they're close to 1,850 or so sworn officers. And so in good times, in 24 and 23, when the city had a lot more capacity in its budget and strong fund balance, it was a decision that was made by council administration to fast track some of the staffing, to bring in some more recruiting recruits into the system and shore up the sworn personnel. I think when we got here, sworn personnel was closer to about 1,500, and it's now to 1,800. We've seen a positive correlation in terms of crime reduction during that investment period for APD. So I just wanted to kind of put that context in framing, because they're not getting an additional $16 million. They are being right-sized in their budget to what they're currently spending, and we're actually asking them to spend a little bit less. And if you look at the trend this year for APD, we start to see some real positive trends. For example, overtime is significantly down in FY26 compared to FY25. We're hoping that trend continues into FY27 as well. But in getting into the $16 million increase for police's budget, you will see that most of it is in the areas that are strong obligations of the city, such as contributions to retirement, health insurance. There is an additional, I think, $4 million for recruited classes that are anticipated for FY27, and as well as some additional funding that's needed for equipment, supplies, and some of their contracts that are experiencing the same inflationary pressures that everybody else is facing as well. We had a question after policing. We had a question with regards to violence reduction. I know chief operating officers, I think I'll have to step out, but when they have an opportunity to come back, we'll let them address the Office of Violence Reduction, how much is being allocated to violence reduction services. do believe it's roughly $3 million that's being allocated to violence
CFO will
reduction.
actually have our Office of Violence Reduction briefing tomorrow.
Oh, perfect.
During executive offices at 1:30 tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't, there wasn't I didn't prepare a police budget slide, but thank you. There is, I guess we could put up, you want to send them this one? Yeah, we'll put it up.
Can we see who's speaking? Can we see who's talking? You know, why is so much?
CFO is speaking right here. Well, he's talking. He doesn't have a raised mic.
Everybody else has got. Yeah, the police don't do violence.
Okay, we are going to bring up and share from Atlanta Police Department's briefing to council, their budgetary request slide. So if you hadn't had a chance to see it, you'll be able to see it shortly.
And to answer your question, that's the CFO's workstation. So it has his computer, everything that's there. That's a desktop. So. Bear with us, we're working on getting that graphic up. It's from our budget book. It's actually online on the FY27 budget page of the City Council's website, but they're going to try to pull it up on the screen.
Yes, okay. I know somebody mentioned that they would really like to see me, but it's hard to, well, I'll do it. It'll be long. Hello. Good evening, Mohammed Bala, CFO, City of Atlanta. So what you have in front of you is the proposed budget for the Atlanta Police Department. So if you are comparing budget to budget, which is the 307 compared to the 324, it is a $16 million increase. But I want people to really kind of focus on their projected spend pattern, which we are projecting right now to be at 335 at the end of the fiscal year compared to what they're being allocated for FY27. Oh, okay. Which is the 324 million. So you will see that there is we're asking police for a slight consideration on the personal employment benefits, and that is being tackled by their overtime reductions. But in terms of their general fund allocation, is this it? Yeah. Yes. 6 million of that is a hard, 6.5 million of that is a hard commitment to the police's contribution to a pension plan, which we have to fund this year. You've generally would want to fund those when they're due and not delay any of those payments or kick them down the road for a different time of year. And group health insurance, which is increasing for many people in such a large force that has roughly 2,000 people, that could be a significant cost, which is going up 3.8 million. So if you combine both of those two together, that is a $10 million commitment to APD's budget that are hard set numbers for benefits that the city must pay.
What about the other 300 million?
So you do realize that the police's budget, 260 million of it is people, personnel, salaries, benefits. There's no way to reduce that without reducing the force. So that is a hard number of commitment to employees for the 1,800.
Donate the supplies.
That is not a question that I can answer. I know Chief was here. If somebody from APD is here, they could come and talk to the operational needs of the department, but I think they all got pulled out on an emergency meeting for flooding that is happening at the city of Atlanta.
Yeah, the chief was sitting in the corner for a while, and then him and the fire chief got pulled out. We're hoping they can come back in with the COO. Apparently there was an emergency downtown, so hopefully they'll be able to come back here in a moment.
Chair Winston, thank you. I think that's the answers that I had right now for the questions that were given.
Okay, and while we wait to see if they can come back in here, I want to bring it home. Sorry, Councilmember Bond wanted to ask a question. And hopefully Chief Bala can answer that versus one of the department heads.
Yeah, I mean, I also wanted to address the audience. Thank you all for being out here on a rainy day in terrible weather. Usually these council meetings are not accessible to the public. They're held in the middle of the workday, and I know y'all are all making a sacrifice to be here, and I wish more of my colleagues were here to listen to y'all. And quite frankly, I wish that these public hearings were before we started the budget drafting process. And to be, very frank with you guys, we're presented this budget as council, and the process is not very transparent, right? We sit and we listen to these hearings, and we listen to departments, justify their expenditures. But as a new council member, it's very hard to navigate, the budget amendment process. And I wish that we were incorporating more of this feedback from the very start and baking that into the plan for our city. And what I'm hearing from everyone here today is, this real intersection of why parks are important, why public spaces are important, why recreation and investment in PAD and community violence intervention is important. And all these issues are interconnected, as many people spoke to today. And my takeaway from this is, our city is really lacking a proactive vision, right? For what we want to be, who we are building for, who we are growing for. And this is reflected very much in our budget. And, I heard a lot of concern today about, basically things that I have also been saying is reductions in parks, lack of meaningful support for PAD and other alternatives to policing, while meanwhile we're seeing our police budget increased by quite a lot. And I asked these same questions and just asked for justifications from the police department, from the Department of Corrections, for why they were not meaningfully making those same budget reductions that other very crucial departments were making. And, I would also like to note that, we talked a lot about salaries and pensions just now, but contracts and contracted services make up 40 million of the police budget. And I did ask for a detailed, list of what those contracts were exactly and their expiration date. And I still have not received it. So that is a request that is still open. And I believe that procurement was supposed to follow up with me, but I just wanted the people who took time out of their day to be here to know that I am working to try and get answers as to where our money is going. I would also like to recognize that City Council did unanimously pass a resolution to fund community violence intervention, and I think we need to make good on that promise, right? So thank you for those of you who did come out and speak on that today. And I did have a couple questions as well beyond that request for the police contracts. So we are, procuring new parks, and we are expanding our parks footprint here today. And I just had a lot of people asking questions about how we are expected to maintain that funding. But increasingly, we are becoming reliant on philanthropic support for these parks. We heard people say here today that philanthropy makes up 20% of that park's budget. So what is our city's contingency plan if philanthropy stops showing up to the table because they don't see the city putting our correct percentage of funds into parks.
I think Commissioner Cutler is here and who'd be able to talk about the parks operations in much more detail than I'd be able to.
Good evening, council members, Councilmember Bond. So your question, just so I make sure I heard it, is what would we do if philanthropy wasn't at the table, or is it more around what? Yeah, sorry, do you mind repeating it? Thank you.
What is the contingency plan if, because philanthropy is funding so much of our parks right now, what is the contingency plan if they step away because they don't see the city putting in as much as we should?
Yeah, as Chief Bala presented today, if we could go back to that slide shows fundamentally we have increased our investment at the City of Atlanta in park maintenance. We've invested in capital replacement maintenance, meaning that we are replacing park benches. We've recently replaced over 50 different trash cans throughout many of our parks. We've worked with many of the council members, specifically like Councilmember Amos made a council member contribution from the Moving Atlanta Forward bond program to replace trash cans. So we're working proactively to replace these trash cans. In addition to that, we're also adding 10 bathrooms as part of our Throne Lab pilot program. Those will be installed at the end of the month of May. And that's a pilot to understand where do we need more public bathrooms, recognizing that the number 2 priority on our Activate ATL was more public bathrooms. And so we're making incremental increases both in daily maintenance related to mowing, trash, and litter by working with groups like CEO, which is a justice reform organization that hires formerly incarcerated individuals to then work in our parks, cleaning our park bathrooms, picking up litter. And then in addition to that, we're also increasing our graffiti abatement program. So we're making those incremental changes to maintenance. Now, related to the question of what would we do if philanthropy wasn't coming to the table, philanthropy, their role in this whole equation is really funding capital improvement. So when you look at the grants and the donations that Park Pride makes, there's specifically 2 enhancements within the park. So they're making improvements to playgrounds, they're making improvements to trails, they're installing park benches, as you heard Kelly talk about at Walker Park. At Harper Park, they installed a new skate park. So there's a lot of different investments that they're making that tend to be on the capital side. Then the great thing about Park Pride is they also help on the volunteer side, facilitating the Park Stewardship Council, Park Advocacy, and Park Help with Love Your Park. So those things related to the capital side would go away. The day-to-day maintenance would continue to be sustained by the City of Atlanta.
Thank you for that. My other question is pertaining to this chart. How is maintenance captured in this chart?
Yeah, so when you look at this chart over here, do you mind if I walk over to the chart? Okay. So when you look at maintenance on this chart, the Park Improvement Fund for fiscal year 26, which is our current fiscal year, was $41,070,070. Check. Okay. So we have our fiscal. So for instance, fiscal year 27, the one that is before the council today. So we have the Park Improvement Fund. Of the $40 million, 50% of that goes to capital improvements. So these are enhancements to park. Think Southside Sports Park, think new playground at Lindsay Street Park. Those are capital improvements typically over $50,000 to $100,000. So 50% of $42 million goes to park improvements. Then 40% goes to maintenance. So that's staffing, that is replacing trash cans, benches, painting, graffiti abatement, trail maintenance, and enhancements to, and kind of maintenance of our general parks. That's the Park Improvement Fund. 5% of that also goes to security. So our park ranger team, cameras in our parks, off-duty officers to patrol our parks. We didn't have that prior to the park millage. So 5% goes to park security and safety. And then another 5% goes to recreation administration. So the gentleman in the white t-shirt over there, he spoke about after-school programs. It helps fund programs like his. It helps fund senior programs. It helps fund out-of-school time activities for our young people and our seniors. Additional money goes to training and development. We've launched a new training program helping to increase customer service, helping to increase support for our our park workers. We had a recent success with the University of Georgia where several employees received a landscape professional certification, both helping them grow as individuals as well as park maintainers. So that's the Park Improvement Fund. 54 million, general fund. Rough estimate, about half of that goes to park maintenance and half of that goes to recreation. And then the administration will just count as overhead within each of those allocations. So again, recreation administration, it pays for youth athletic leagues, out of school time, after school time. It pays for our forestry team, which is out right now removing trees from vehicles. They assist with the flooding, so our forestry team is in that pot of fund. It also provides for our skilled services. So these are skilled individuals that do plumbing, electrical, HVAC, making sure our systems run well. There's also contracted services for contributions to like Piedmont Park Conservancy, Park Pride that we have contractual relationships with, Woodruff Park, we had a contractual relationship with ADID. So those are all contained within the 54 million. The 29 million is carryover from kind of year over year. So some years when we think about our long range capital plan, we may have a year in which we are doing design, but we're saving money for the next year when we're going to do a capital improvement. So the total project, let's say, is $3 million. Usually 10 to 15% of that, or 20% may be design. So that's about $600,000 that goes towards planning and development, which will happen year one. And then we save money for the next year, so we don't have to bond or pull out money from our credit card, more or less. So we save money, and then that's spent in the future years. So you're always going to see a level of green bar going forward because we're trying to be prudent administrators of our resources. So that's the breakdown of this budget. I'm happy to answer more details. Thank you.
Thank you. I have one more follow-up question. When was the Parks Improvement Fund created?
Back in 1965 when y'all were called aldermen.
Wow, okay. Okay. Do you want to say that? Okay, no, okay. So I want to make sure I'm interpreting the graph wrong. Correctly. Are we accounting for the Parks Improvement Fund in the other graphs for the other years?
Yes. So you see over here, back in fiscal year 22 and 23. So these were specific years when our millage was half a mil or 0.5. So in fiscal year 24 is when the council increased the mill by an additional half mil, going to take it to a full mill.
I'm just wondering why we're only, maybe this is a stupid question. I'm wondering why we're only seeing the green on the most recent year.
So I'll answer the question. The green it's whatever is left over in the Park Improvement Fund does not go, if I can answer Mohammed Bala, the green section is whatever is still remaining unspent from the Park Improvement Fund carries forward to the next year, pops to the next year. So in this year, for example, if the department exhausted all the 41 and let's say half of the green, next year 15 will pop over. This year, if they spend 30 of the 41 or 42 that's being allocated, then next year that 29 would be 29 plus 10, 39 going forward. So it's always a carry forward of whatever is remaining left unspent from that year's allocation. And there's reasons why stuff goes unspent, especially when you're dealing with capital planning and long-term funding.
Okay, so
To answer that question more specifically, so in fiscal year 24, we had roughly $10 million in carry forward. Again, one of the things that we've been working hard is also ramping up recruitment of our project managers. And so that we've been successful in addition to the Moving Atlanta Forward bond program. So that's helped us get more dollars out the door. And then it was $8 million in roughly $8.8 million in fiscal year 25, $13 million in fiscal year 26. And so we're working hard to spend those dollars down.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from colleagues for Commissioner Cutler? All right, I did see that Chief Shearbaum is back in the room, so he can speak towards some of the requests from the Atlanta Police Department. we'll welcome up COO LaShondra Burks.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the Atlanta City Council. Just before Chief Sherbaum comes up, I wanted to just come and first apologize that we were not in the room when the conversations initially came up. We unfortunately had a 2-inch flood in less than an hour's time. So I had to call several members of the team out for a call. We had a couple of people stranded, 75, 85 had to be shut down, working with GDOT to support them. We have a couple of Waymos who were out there, fortunately without passengers, but we've had to support them as well. So I wanted to first, before Chief Sherbaum came up, apologize that we were not in the room when the conversations initially came up. And I also just want to say, as a former commissioner of Parks and Recreation, I always look forward to seeing Park Pride in the room. Some of that money goes to Park Pride to support them, and we're also glad that we provide office space to them over in the Parks and Recreation side. So always good to have healthy conversations in the room. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief Sherbaum, who can answer many of the questions that came up. But I did want to just apologize in full to everyone for us being out of the room.
Thank you, COO Burks, and appreciate y'all coming back. Thank you, Chief Sherbaum. We did get some questions, and I think CFO Bala read off some of them.
Chief Sherbaum, if I could summarize, I think the question that came up was, while they understand a significant portion of police's budget is dedicated to personnel, there is roughly $40 million that is non-personnel related, some purchase contract services and supplies. And I think the specific question was supplies, which is why can't the foundation pay for supplies?
Yes, sir. Well, good evening, everyone. I want to thank everyone that came out on a very treacherous night in our city. So I want to thank our citizens that braved the weather, and I want to commend the officers of the department and Atlanta Fire Rescue. We've had a number of treacherous situations in the city, which our CO just referenced. So the officers that were redirecting individuals from flooded intersections before they could get there, Atlanta Fire Rescue's water rescue team being out and about. I just want to acknowledge everyone today and ask everyone as you drive home tonight, please be very aware of the situations that you may encounter as you move through our city. Supplies, as you know, we are the largest city in Georgia. We have over 500,000 residents that call Atlanta home on certain days. Our service population exceeds 1 million as individuals drive to work, attend our conferences, conventions, and the sporting events that we have. Our authorized strength is 2,020. Being the sufficient number to protect Atlanta, all of its events, such as the festivals, the parades that we have, the sporting events, and the 911 call volume generated. That 2020 was established long before we crossed the 500,000 mark, and so the demands on the police department continue to grow, such as the event that happened tonight. Supplies is equipping all of the individuals that report to duty every day. It is their tourniquets, it's their duty belts, it is their vests, it is all the equipment that we have to provide them to be able to respond to the 749,000 unique calls that they responded to last year in our city. The Police Foundation has a number of initiatives providing our officers the basic equipment is not one of them. Their job has been supporting us moving officers into the city, a number of the affordable housing initiatives that we have, the 4 At Promise Centers that are currently active in the city, ensuring that we provide young people from early teens to 24, or 12 to 24, the ability to provide services that keep individuals out of trouble and support them in a healthy and vibrant life. They support all of our training initiatives, our tuition reimbursement, our health and wellness initiatives that we have, a number of effective, and the equipment that they come closest to, Chair Winston, would be providing our active shooter kits. Is probably the equipment that they provide that I can speak to, but not the daily outfitting of the officers, which is necessary for them to carry out their duties and be safe.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Any follow-up questions from colleagues? Well, Chief, we appreciate you coming back, answering the questions about the budget. I know CFO Bala got a chance to summarize that for the public, so we do appreciate that.
Well, thank you, Mr. Bala. I appreciate you filling in for me. And members, Madam President, members of council, thank you.
All right. Thank you. Now, questions I wrote down were for the Police Department, Department of Parks and Recreation, CFO General Overview, and then there was the Office of Violent Reduction. If I am missing a department, if you can raise your hand if you had a specific department that you wanted to hear from.
I just wanted to get a better understanding of the auditing process of departments, particularly police
So we have an auditor's office. I don't know if, we just want, COO Burks, I don't know if you just want to generally speak towards, or CFO toward their budget, and just a general overview.
I can speak on kind of the auditing landscape for the city of Atlanta. Every year, the city of Atlanta, by state law, is required to have a financial audit completed. We were happy in 2025 fiscal year close to have one first clean audit for the city. These are financial audits. We also have a audit department that does operational audits that is led by Amanda Noble. They have a separate board that governs the city's audit department. The audit department takes direction from city council as well when people could put in requests for different areas of concern that they might want to be audited. And they also do routine operational audits for enhanced efficiency and to might bring us any types of risks that the city might want to mitigate in the future.
All right, thank you. I think we've heard from most of the departments. I will say that department budget briefings are continuing. Council will be back in those tomorrow starting at 11 a.m. So we ask you to still continue to stay engaged in this process as we work through the final adoption of the FY 2027 proposed budget. I do want to just reiterate a big thanks for all of you for coming out tonight. I went back, looked at the tape from a year ago. We only had about 5 people that showed up for this. So kudos to all of you all for coming out and being engaged in this process. Unless it's something specific, we already went through public comment if you had something.
Transportation was mentioned, and I don't think we heard from transportation.
What was?
There was just a general discussion of better mobility for pedestrians and bike lanes.
Okay. So transportation. Just a general overview of their budget. I don't know if we can pull it up.
Yes, so the Department of Transportation, what you would see in their operational budget is a realignment of personnel costs. These are people that are dedicated to capital delivery that should be aligned to capital funding, and they have since done so. But if you also looked at kind of the slide that we showed earlier for police, in their departmental briefing, they were also showing that they're expected to end the year under budget after making that change. So the new budget for ADOT's operations just aligns them to their current delivery. But what is also needed to be considered for Department of Transportation is their whole framework is not just within the operational budget. It is with in a larger capital section of the budget book, which is in the back. So the Department of Transportation has access to T-SPLOST funding, which generates about $60 million a year for project delivery, as well as significant amount of resources from bond funding that we did through Moving Atlanta Forward, which had about $200 million or so allocated for street improvements, as well as $100 million that was done for surface improvements in the downtown area. So they utilize all that funding to deliver those projects. The operational budget that's in front of you in this budget book is more for the day-to-day needs of the operations of the department. The reduction in salaries that you saw in the general fund was the realignment of those personnel to align them to the capital funding where they should be from, because they are capital delivery personnel.
Joined by Transportation, Atlanta Department of Transportation Commissioner Solomon Cavanis.
Yes.
Commissioner Cavanis, if you don't mind just giving us a quick overview of your budget.
Yes, and thank you for the opportunity. So as CFO Bala mentioned, we have our operating budget, which is included in the budget book, and also we have our capital program. There has been added funds as part of our ARA bonds that have been made available for our ARA district. And we also have safety and mobility funds, which are a product of our parking fees and some of our other fees in which we invest into safety applications throughout the city. But generally, the operating budget is what we use also to address maintenance throughout the city.
Yes, and if you see the transportation slide here for the general fund in FY26, which closes in June of 2026, they're projected to end the year at 54.7 million, which is kudos, commissioners, about a $4 million under budget for FY26. This is coming off FY25 where you're a little over budget, so we appreciate that. The budget for FY27 aligns and actually gives a little bit more capacity for you to continue delivering at $56 million. So I just want to orient the public to that as well.
And I'll just mention there's a blip that we will expect this summer when the world descends on the city. So we've made sure that we've planned and accommodated for all of the activities throughout the city this summer.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Cavanis. And CFO Bala, just before we close, I know that this conversation is about our general budget.
Yes.
I think it might be helpful to give some context on the other use of funds, specifically like Parks and Recreation, like our other enterprise funds, so the general public knows that there are additional funds available at your disposal other than this general budget.
Yes, that's a very good question. So if you look at in the budget book, in the beginning of the budget book, it highlights the city's overall operational budget, including the enterprise funds, is roughly $3.6 million. That includes the general fund, which is projected at $994 million, but also our Department of Watershed Management, our Department of Aviation, which has a $900 million budget, water is $780 million budget or so, and then other departments as well, like Solid Waste Services, which has its own unique enterprise fund. That is in the page 67 of the budget book. So if you wanted to see it, I would turn to page 67 of the budget book. I also see our friends from Atlanta Civic Circle who have done a fabulous job of putting this exact same information in a much more digestible and user-friendly format online. So, oh, that's what I meant. Yeah, Center for Civic Innovation. Thank you.
We love Civic Circle too.
Yeah, all right, yeah, Center for Civic Innovation. Thank you. Yes. Who have done a fabulous job cataloging this information. It's online. It's a format that is very public friendly, and I urge people to go and look at it. Thank you.
All right.
Would the CEO mind addressing the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction Funding this evening?
If you have something you want to add, I know we were supposed to get that briefing tomorrow, so, but if you have anything briefly, we could touch on it briefly, I think, because we'll go that brief. We'll have that briefing tomorrow.
Thank you, LaShondra Burks again, Chief Operating Officer. Of course, as Councilmember Winston and Mr. Chair was just mentioning, the Mayor's Office budget presentation is tomorrow at 1 p.m. And as a part of that, we will be talking about the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction. That office has been funded up until this coming fiscal year through our ARPA dollars. And now that those ARPA dollars have been expended at the tune of about $4.4 million over the last fiscal year, we're moving that into the mayor's priorities. So it is reflected at the same amount in the upcoming budget as proposed by the mayor for the Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction. This will be to support violence interrupters, different ways that we are using our Mayor's Office of Violence Reduction to reduce violence from a non-policing perspective.
Okay. And as we have mentioned a few times, make sure you tune in tomorrow if you get an opportunity. Also, all of the departmental budget briefings are recorded, so you can go on the Atlanta City Council website to take a look at any of the ones that we've already had, so you can hear more in-depth questions from my colleagues on council about some of those. So with that, as I was saying a few minutes ago, we appreciate you all for coming in today. It was good to see the green shirts, get the questions. Appreciate you all interacting. I do know some of my colleagues who could not be here are watching or will get the video as well to hear from you all. So we appreciate you coming. And with that, we will adjourn this meeting. So thank you all.